But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just thought you one more.
I wonder how much of the population of the world they would say is actually descended from Abraham, because it sounds like it's becoming a pretty large amount of the planet.
That's what I say sometimes to some of them, and they'll sometimes say, well, white people have a genetic defect. You guys are the minority. They start sounding like Nation of Islam members sometimes at that point. Or they'll say, hey, sand of the sea, stars of the sky,
Still curious what percentage they put on it, but
right.
But at any rate,
sometimes I'll ask, what percentage of the curses do you have to experience to be an Israelite?
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all the praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BaHa, YAHAWASHI, BaHa, QADASH. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone who rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the hopeful elect tabernacle of David that is scattered abroad. And you just heard this guy, Mike Swinger. He's pretty much discussing with Heyman Malone, how, we teach that, there's Israelites all over the world. And he wonders, how much of the population do we believe are Israelites? And, us, we go according to the spirit, We know that Israel cannot be numbered. That's for sure. Going back to when the Lord blessed Abraham, he said, and that's why Vocab, tried to quote it, you quoting it, saying that that's what we would say. That doesn't mean that it doesn't negate that it is a fact that Israel is a great multitude. It's so many Israelites out there. This is why in the end days, the Lord will have to sift the house of Israel from among all nations, because Israel is as the sand of the sea that cannot be measured nor numbered. You know that scripture. And I believe the elder apostle Tahar was just going into that yesterday. All right. So, and I'm pretty sure he refused to go into that scripture in Hosea 1. Well, I mean, that goes back to one of the promises the Lord made with Abraham. Let's go to when he first blesses Abraham and tells him that, his seed is going to be a great multitude. This is Genesis 13. Let me jump down. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, and Abram, Abraham, which means exalted father, it says, dwelled in the land of Canaan, which was the promised land. And Lot dwelled in the cities of plain and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward and eastward and westward. Basically look all around you as far as your eyes can see. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. This is a promise, right? And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Now, question, can you number the sand of the sea? Vocab. Mike Swinger, can you number the dust of the earth? This is a promise, unless y'all saying that the Lord is a liar. And we know that this same promise, it was bestowed upon his son and his son's son, his seed and his seed's seed. It was told to his grandniece, all right, Rebecca. It was said to her that she would become the mother of thousands of millions, thousands of myriads of people. Let's get that real quick. All right. And this is the mother, all right, that she went on to have twins, Jacob and Esau, right? Which one of them was the chosen one, just like Isaac was the chosen. So let's go to Genesis 24 and verse 60. And it says, I'll start at verse I start at verse 54, and it says, and they did eat and drink, he and the men that were with them, and tarried all night, and they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master, to Laban, right? Jacob's uncle. All right, Slakia, Isaac's uncle. It says, and her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that she shall go. And he said unto them, hinder me not, saying, it's like you're seeing the Lord have prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, wilt thou go with this man? And she said, I will go. And they sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, thou art our sister. Be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seed possess the gate of those which hate them. So she's going to become the mother of thousands of millions. All right, myriads. So that's a innumerable multitude. So yeah, it's a lot of us all over the planet. All right, and there's no way of really detecting who's an Israelite unless the Spirit is upon you. But for the most part, there's going to be so many of us that we're going to have to be sifted. The angels know who is who. But Israel cannot be numbered. We're scattered among the nations, and we've even intermingled with them. We've, the men of Israel then put their seed in foreign women. Then had marriages with non-Israelite women. Their seed coming out looking or taking on the features of, the mothers, or speaking the language of their mothers. That's even happened in Israel, even though Israel was rebuked for it. Do you think Israel stopped doing that? Let me see if I can find, I believe it was in Nahum, where you had Israelites who were, products of, marriages of heathen women, and they was taking on their religion and speaking their language. So you got Israelites that speak different tongues depending on where they were scattered and where they live. And that also determines, the gods and idols that they serve. All right, so you got Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites, but they're in a foreign land, speaking a different language and worshiping a foreign god. All right. And this is why this word is being broadcasted worldwide. And some Israelites are going to come out of that. All right. But this is the history. All right. Which Israel to this day, they ain't stopped doing this. All right. Wherever they may be scattered at. All right. Because part of the curse was that we would be scattered from one end of the earth to the other. We would be mingled among all people, all nations, serving foreign gods, wood or stone. Right. So this is Nehemiah 13 and 23. It says, in those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. Right? And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. All right. So You don't think we have this same dynamic to this very day? All right. So yeah, there's so many of us that, they'll grow up thinking that they're, one particular, a lot of Jake, they figure because of what their mother is, or they'll say, well, I'm half this, I'm half that, or I'm this percentage of this, and I'm this percentage of that. But we know according to the scriptures that your nationality is determined by your father, who your father is. Okay? Your pedigree is after the house of your fathers. A lot of our people don't know that growing up. They'll just say I'm biracial, I'm mixed breed. I'm half and half. So they don't know. So when they put on their job application, or if they join the consensus, they just gonna put what they were taught they were. You got a lot of the northern tribes, I think that they identify as white, knowing damn well they ain't even white, man. Some of them actually are. Some of them are Spaniards. Some of them are Terrs, the descendants of the conquistadors. But then you got the ones that are straight up of the northern tribes, because they didn't mix themselves among the people. It tells you that about Ephraim, that they didn't mix themselves among the people. They're a cake not turned. So you got some that are, light, they got the lighter complexion. They got the, thinner hair, look more European looking. And then you have, the ones with the kinkier hair with, more melanin. But they're all of the same tribe. But it's like that amongst all the tribes, man. It tells you that in Jeremiah that the heritage is as a speckled bird. You come in many colors, many genetic variations, even though we come from the same seed, because Israel has been scattered, man. All right. And then even when you, let me see real quick. Just among Ephraim and Manasseh alone, it was even said that they would even be a great multitude. And we know the word Ephraim means fruitful. Thou shalt be a fruitful bow, There's a lot of tainos out there all over. Some of them are even on the other side of the world, if you know the history. Genesis 48 and yeah, here we go. Genesis 48 and 14, it says, and Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and left his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, the Most High, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Most High, which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and in the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac. So bestowing the blessing that was on Abraham and Isaac onto his sons, Jacob's. All right. And let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. So big that they're going to be all over. A lot of people will say, well, how could that great of a multitude of people be contained into, that one piece of land, the land of Israel? Well, that's why there's always been strangers, foreigners. Not all Israel always dwelt in the land of Israel. Israel was sojourning in other lands. That's how many of us it was. You had Jews living everywhere, migrating to other places, living all up in Asia. Even during the diaspora, we was everywhere. And not all of Israel was living in these other foreign lands because of captivity. Some of them just migrated away. Jake do that. Okay. It says, and when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the hand of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. Because we know that the tradition is for the eldest, to receive, that birthright, the heir. All right, but the Lord had it to where it was going to be on Ephraim. All right, it says, and Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. So he's going to have a just in Ephraim alone, it's going to be a multitude of nations. Now, I wonder if that's twofold. Is there going to be multiple tribes of the Ephraimites? Is that how large they are? Or could it also mean that, Ephraim becoming the head of the northern tribes? And we know that there's 10, really 9, but, they're always referred to as the 10 tribes. And we know that each tribe is a nation. All right. It says that a nation and a company of nations shall be of thy loins. So each tribe of Israel is a nation within itself. That's huge. So yeah, you don't know, just given that fact, all over the world who's an Israelite. That's why, we go according to the Spirit. The Spirit have to bear witness with your spirit that you are a child of the Most High. And one of the sifters is, this truth. It tells you that in the book of Baruch that, from the west to the east, or from the east to the west, that the sons would be sifted. They would be gathered by the word of the Holy One. So this word right now is sifting, and of course you got the angels that's putting that mark in the foreheads of the people, the ones that the Lord is allowing them to open up their eye, their spiritual eye, to understand. And if they understand this, and it's in them, then that more than likely that person is an Israelite, regardless of what they look like, regardless of their background. And plus they would have, certain characteristics, we have a certain rhythm, we have a certain move. We're known as the salt of the earth. All right, we're special people, so we have certain abilities. You wonder why there's like, for example, Michael McDonald's one, but Bobby Caldwell, the one who the singer that just passed. A lot of people, if you back then, if you didn't see his face, you would have thought he was a Jake, a brother, man. He had that strong, voice like a brother, man. And he can blow. And we believe that he might have been a Jake. So you got examples out there. Okay, it's a lot of people who you think might be Edomite just solely on appearance, but they father line goes back to the people on the sign. All right, Jennifer Bill, the chick that was in the Book of Eli. She looked like a Edomite woman, but she's a Jake. So anyway, yeah, that's the point. Now, even when you go to Revelation, when it talks about the 12,000 out of each tribe, right? You have, 12,000 men out of the 12 tribes that it lists. And then after that, Revelation 7 and 9, which a lot of these Christians make the mistake of thinking that these people that's going to come out of, all the nations and kindreds and people and tongues, that these are talking about non-Israelites. So you're going to have 144,000 chosen Israelites, and then the rest of the people that come out of the tribulation, those are all heathens. Edomites, Moabites, Hamites, Ishmaelites, Elamites. But that's not what that's talking about. This is further proof that Israel is all over. Remember the Feast of Pentecost, that there was devout Jews out of every nation under heaven. And they all was able to speak multiple. They all spoke the languages of the lands that they were native to. They didn't all speak Galilean. They didn't speak Hebrew. But these were all Israelites. So imagine to this day, after all the scattering, all the captivities, all the intermarrying, or what they call today interracial marrying. You're gonna have a lot of products of that. Who's the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which the blessing was bestowed upon Abraham that it would be so many of them, whether they coming from the seed of an Israelite woman or a non-Israelite woman. Revelation 7 and 9, and this I beheld, and this is after the 144,000, right? Because they're not going to make the mistake of numbering 144,000 and then turn around and say, oh, they can't be numbered. No man can number them. So this is the separate number of Israelites that's going to be delivered out of the tribulation, aside from the 144,000, which is the governing body. All right, verse 9, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our God, which is possessive, because these are those people. These people that would come out of these nations, kindreds, people, and tongues, languages, these were all Israelites, because they're going to be scattered among all nations. So they're going to be coming from out of all nations. All right, and kindreds and people. We will be scattered from among all people. Deuteronomy 28:64. And tongues. I just showed an example of, Jake in the history speaking the other languages. You see? So this is just another example, man. And let me get a scripture in the Apocrypha. Let's go to 2 Ezra 3. Yeah, 2 Ezra 3 and verse I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says, and it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first. Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham, which means a father of a multitude, right? Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showedest thy will, and madest a everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. All right, which Vocab, he ascribes to a doctrine that teaches that the Lord replaced his seed with heathens. As long as they turn Christian and they believe on the white meat, all right, their Jesus, that they can be saved, they can receive the promise, they can come up under the new covenant. You know, and like the Lord just forsook, you know, his seed, the literal seed, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Replacement theology is what it's called, or successionalism. But the Lord, he would never do that. He made a everlasting covenant with them. So that's totally wrong. It says, and unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee and put by Esau, meaning he rejected Esau and chose Jacob. You could read Romans 9. Paul broke that down. You know, it was based on the election. It was all predestinated for it to go that way. And so Jacob became a great multitude. All right. So, I mean, I don't see the point in scoffing at the idea that, you know, we suggest that there's a lot of Israelites out there all over the world. But in due time, you know, it'll be known. I mean, Vocab, he trembles at the fact that there's a growing number of us coming back to who we are anyway. He always going to the studies of, you know, the number of Israelites that agree, you know, with the doctrine, the teaching of the Israelites. They're concerned, you know, because the Lord is putting that breath back into us. Israel, who is dead spiritually, has been revived because the spirit of life is entering into us. All right, standing upon our feet as a great army. So yeah, we're all over the world, man. Camps everywhere. Israelites in the Philippines. You got an Israelite in the Philippines teaching in the name of Yahweh and YAHAWASHI. All right. We got Israelites everywhere, man. Places that we probably don't even know about, that watches us. And they're identifying. And we can't reject them solely on appearance. But if you're carnal, you can't receive the things of the spirit because they're, you know, it's foolish to you. You're not spiritually discerned. But anyway, I just want to add to that, man. All right, and Lord willing, this was edifying. Call Lord YAHAWASHI, Shalom.